are members of the society, and it's lovely just to reminisce and talk about things. So I think people will find it's a friendly bunch of people.
Yes, yeah, absolutely fantastic. Oh, right, okay, but I mean, how? So you've got your planning committees, you've got everything else involved within the society, which is fantastic. I mean, a lot of topics recently. The supermarket one, of course, is the biggest.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't just Tesco's, then there was Asda, and now there's approval, obviously, for a supermarket on the railway side.
Yes.
Which to me, I find slightly irrational. A, for the lack of space, and two, for the chaos it's going to cause on that junction. So I don't know, what are the thoughts of your members on that?
I think talking to a number of members, I think there were a mixture of views, and obviously I think people had the opportunity, both with the Tesco's issue and the other one, to be able to give their views to the local councillors, and I know that people did do that.
Yeah.
And I know also that some members went along to some of the meetings.
Yes.
So I think the society has a presence there, but I think, with over 500 members, I think people were able to give their views,
definitely.
and I think 500 people in Felixstowe, I think it's quite important and quite significant that their views are taken into account.
Definitely, totally. And again, of course, we sort of another thought again in my mind is it's looking absolutely amazing. But the new medical centre, of course, at the Grove.
At the Grove, yes, yeah. I mean, that's right by Abbey Grove.
Yes.
But obviously, it's not at the moment impacting on that. But I'm hoping that more people will realise where that place is, where Abbey Grove is, and be able to go round the back there.
Exactly.
But again, it would be silly, wouldn't it, for a town just to sort of stagnate. So in a way, I think it's a good idea that we are getting these new developments. But I think from society's point of view, we've got to make sure that they're done to the highest possible standards.
Yeah.
And that they sort of blend in with all the wonderful architecture that we do already have here.
Exactly.
The Victorian buildings, for example,
we've got some amazing Victorian. I mean, obviously, there was nothing here in Felixstowe until obviously the late 1800s. It was Walton, there was Trimley, but there wasn't any Felixstowe. It was obviously the port and then certain historical events that put Felixstowe on the map.
Yes. We do give annual awards. We call them the Enhancement of the Environment Awards.
Right.
And they're given annually, and there are nominations given to the committee by members. And this year, there were 3 winners because we really couldn't decide between the 3. Okay. So we gave an award to the extension to the Bethesda Church.
Yep.
We also gave an award to the new walkway around Cobbles Point, which I think is wonderful.
Yes, it is.
And we also gave an award to Tim and Maria Brennan for their new house.
Right,
on Links Avenue, which is very environmentally friendly. So that's another way in which society tries to promote high standards in terms of new developments in Felixstowe.
Yeah. Again, looking back, I mean, before anything like this, I can look back again at some amazing houses which are no longer there. And to me, that's always really, really sad. So I should imagine, hopefully, in the society, that's something, again, you're stopping and trying to discourage. And
well, again, we just look at planning applications and then we make our comments. And I know the planning committee do look at those applications very seriously. And they, as I say, they make very useful comments. But I think also, for example, buildings are no longer there. We have a system of plaques around Felixstowe, which obviously mark places where perhaps significant buildings used to be.
I didn't realise that. That's interesting.
And I'm hoping to put a list on the website very soon of all the plaques around there. So, for example, the most recent one was the one which commemorates Wallis Simpson staying at Beach House, which of course is no longer there and is now Beach Place.
That's right.
We don't have blue plaques. We have these sort of creamy white plaques which you'll see around the town.
Yes.
But I'm hoping to try and put a list together so people perhaps can go on a trail and have a look at them, because there's a lot of history connected with that. John Mills, for example,
of course,
lived in
John
Felixstowe.
Mills. He did. He definitely he did his first theatrical performance at St John's Church Hall.
Yeah,
definitely. Going back to Wallis Simpson, I remember, because that was then later, I think I'm right in saying, it was actually Dr. Bernardo's home.
Oh, was it?
It was at Dr. Bernardo's home. And again, when I was sort of growing up, I used to help out on sort of some of the fetes and summer, the summer fetes and that sort of thing. And that was a lovely old house, It was,
yes, I
it has
believe
a lot
so.
of character about it. again, so sad to see that disappear.
There was quite a lot of controversy though, wasn't there, when it
was
was
awful lot of controversy
being demolished?
Yes, awful lot of controversy. You know, it was as I say, that it was definitely. I think town council definitely wanted it to disappear, but local people didn't. I mean, one for the history, and two because it was a beautiful building.
Yes.
I mean, you couldn't actually see that much from it from the road because it had a big high wall in front of it.
Right.
But it was there. You used to go through this little side gate, walk up these steps, and there it was.
Ah.
Yeah.
But I know in her letters, Wallis Simpson was quite dismissive of Felixstowe, wasn't she?
Very much so.
She just didn't like this town at all.
She didn't like it. No, she couldn't get out. I think that the idea was it was too cold for her. She used to go down onto the beach and with a couple of companions. It was always noted a couple of companions. Whether one of those companions was in fact.
Apparently he visited, I believe.
I believe he visited,
he
but it was never mentioned who her companions were.
Exactly, yes.
But she felt she was too restricted and there was not enough there for her to do. So, yeah, I find that very, very interesting.
Well, I haven't been round to see all the plaques yet, but I must do so as soon as, I put this list up. Because again, I think that's just looking at some very significant people and significant events.
Yes, definitely. I mean, John Mills... I believe he was born here. I think he was born here. I'm not quite sure. I know he grew up here as a child.
I think he spent a part of his childhood here.
Yes. Yeah, I know he's definitely sort of did his first theatrical performance, as I said, at St John's Hall. And I can't remember. I knew he lived in one of the town roads, but I'm not quite sure which one it was. Not quite sure.
But when you see all the plaques, you'll be able to go.
I've got to do it. It's got to be. It's got to be done. It's got to be done. So maybe one Sunday morning I will take myself round and have a little look. Let's see, I've learned something from there. So going forward, Felixstowe Society, how can you see this? Probably expanding even more, and have you any ideas or?
Yes, we have talked about having a youth section because as an ex-deputy head, I'm very, very keen that we get the young people involved in appreciating their town much more than than possibly they might do. And I know quite a lot of them will obviously go to university, and some of them may come back and some may not. So Phil Habban and I are hoping to put together a presentation for some of the youngsters in Felixstowe to get them involved in what the society does and perhaps get them involved in some kind of project. But that's something that we will be discussing at the next committee meeting.
I think that's a brilliant idea. Because it's the young people, I mean, looking at my children growing up, I mean, they're always interested in their roots, and I encourage them because I lived in Frimley and I used to encourage them. We used to walk, and there were so many interesting names, lane names.
Oh yes,
Gunpowder Lane being definitely one of them. It was a case of where did it get the name, man? Where did it get the name? So you looked into the history, and yes, there was a dynamite gun. Powder factory down there, many years, which unfortunately blew up and killed a couple of people. But I mean, it was there, and that's how it got his name.
And of course, anybody who joins society under 18, it's free. So an even better deal.
That's even worse.
But again, we would like to get more members. We're very happy for people to join, and I would just suggest that either they looked on the website or they came to one of our meetings in the evening.
Yes,
and they would be very warmly welcome.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much, Bev. I think
it's a pleasure.
You've given a complete, amazing insight. I mean, I've learned something, that's for sure, and I'm definitely going to go back on the website and learn a bit more again. Thank you very much.
Thank you.